there was often a 100-kilo class or a 225-pound class that was offered in arm wrestling, which was really great for me just to duck down into. I could just live at 240, 245, just down to 220 or 225. Easy day. And then when I got really serious, I could like be heavier. I could be like 250. And the last, like, since I've gotten out of the military, oh my God, like I'm huge. I'm freaking massive, Sevan.
How tall are you? How tall
event.
are you? Are you 6'5"?
Yeah.
There's footage of you arm wrestling this guy, and you have this look on your face like you're afraid you're gonna break something. Like like when you're like, I don't know if you do gardening, but like I'll be bending a grapevine, like trying to twist it and train it through like an arbor or something, and I'm like, I really shouldn't be doing this. I'm gonna snap off the branch. Like I'm putting too much tension on it. When you're arm wrestling both right and left-handed, and for a lot of people who don't know this, who don't follow arm wrestling, you tell them even in the middle of the match, hey, look at your hand. And I don't know, like the way you say it to him, I wonder if he's like thinking like you're being a dick, like, hey, watch your hand, I'm going to beat you. But I know what you're saying to him. You're saying like, hey, dude, if you turn away from your hand, something bad can happen. Were you, can you walk me through that match you had with him? Just sort of that. And by the way, this wasn't a real competition, guys. They just walked up to a table together and they were arm wrestling.
So actually that took place actually really close to my house. There was a guy who lives just down the road from me. Unfortunately, he just passed away. Wally Thor Bjornsson. And
where is this? And where do you live? What state do you live in?
So I'm in Ottawa, Canada, just outside Ottawa. And he was just down the road. Oh, where was it? I think it might have been Carleton Place. So that's just outside of Ottawa. And this guy, Wally, used to have like a yearly strength show. He was from Iceland and he had a construction company and he was able to put together this yearly event. And he would always bring, because he was Icelandic and he was part of the strongman community, had all the ties to the best guys. And he was able to bring Thor over. And I was there because it's like strength of all sorts. They had the CrossFitters, they had the strongmen, they had the powerlifters, they had arm wrestlers, they had fighters. And I was doing a little kind of exhibition kids tournament, and Thor was there. And that was my first day meeting Thor. And I'm a big fan. I went over, introduced myself. We talked about it. We talked about stuff. I'm like, hey man, when your hips or back or whatever goes, which I don't know what goes when you're a strongman. I'm assuming it's one of those pieces. I'm like, you should come over to arm wrestling. I said, you'd be a killer. And he was like, yeah. I'm like, come on over to the table anytime, all throughout the day. We're here all day, and I'll kind of just work with you a little bit, and just we'll have fun. And the video that got released, we did that all day long. He came over many times, and we did little sets here and there. I think that might have been the first time he came over. And he was great, like great athlete, good learner. But yeah, I was just trying to keep him safe and work him. And anyways, that video ended up kind of going viral, and it was great for arm wrestling and shed a lot of light on the arm wrestling community. Because, at that point, even a few years ago, a lot of people were still of the perception that how could a guy like as big and strong as the mountain lose to anybody smaller than him, right? And obviously we know that, like any sport, if you spend time mastering it, well, it's really hard for a beginner, no matter how big and strong they are, to do well. That's why me coming into the boxing world in 5 weeks, I'm going to break all those perceptions, Sevan. I'm going to break all those stereotypes, and it'll be like, oh.
When I started telling people I was going to have you on the show, they were basically asking me if you're okay. Like, has he lost his mind? Like, what's he doing? Has he just completely lost his mind?
Yeah, probably. I'm pretty bored, Sevan.
Were you concerned when you were arm wrestling him that he was gonna, not that you were gonna snap his arm, but that he was gonna snap his own arm?
I always worry about that.
Okay, because that was the look on your face.
Yeah, especially with guys like that. Like when you get a specialized athlete, like a guy who's really gone far down the specialization road, and they're strong. These are the people that I worry about almost more than anyone, because they've just put so much into a certain pathway that a lot of times they're not conditioned generally. Like if a guy comes up and he's like a worker or some kind of sports athlete, or I don't know, I don't worry so much. But when a guy like a bodybuilder or someone, and they've gone far, I always worry. And a guy like Haptor at that time, you know, he was really big, he was really strong. He's just not strong in those grooves and the calcium, the way the calcium lays down your bones. It's not in the right places to take the kind of torque that his body's capable of producing. So
Right.
yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful.